Before I get into the review, I wanted to shout out an album that I didn't get to review that I think you guys deserve to listen to, if you haven't already. I thought doing multi-album reviews would help with this, but senior year of college has been very busy, so sorry. But just because I missed this album, I thought it deserved a quick shout out. That is the Denzel Curry and Kenny Beats collaborative album, EP thing, Unlocked. Denzel Curry, you guys know I love him. I sometimes wear my Taboo shirt in these videos. Taboo was my favorite album of 2018, and Zoo was in my top 5 for 2019. Here he collaborates with Kenny Beats for what is a really amazing album. We all know that he could spit and he sounds amazing all throughout this record, but what makes it really compelling is Kenny Beats' production. He comes through with this really glitchy, electronic, very different sound that doesn't sound like much that Zell has rapped over recently. It's glitchy, it's weird, it's different, it's experimental, and it is amazing. I definitely suggest you guys give it a shot. It is only 8 tracks and 15 minutes, so it won't take up too much of your time. It would have gotten an excellent if I did do a proper review of it, but otherwise, check it out. I think you guys will really enjoy it. And now back to our regularly scheduled programming. Justin Bieber has finally arrived with his 5th studio album, Changes. Bieber, don't need to introduce him. You could just say Bieber and everyone knows who you're talking about. He has been a worldwide sensation for years now, one of the biggest forces in pop music, which is kind of interesting given that this is his first studio album in 5 years. The last time he dropped an album was Purpose back in 2015, which was home to some massive singles. I didn't listen to the album fully, but I did like a lot of what I heard on that record. And he's kept himself afloat because of gigantic singles that he has appeared on as features, on remixes, etc, etc. He's continued to be a massive force, and I know fans have been waiting rather patiently to see what he would come through with on this album. I've never considered myself a huge Justin Bieber fan, but I've at least thought that some of his music was okay. Like, it was stuff that I could mostly appreciate from afar. But going into this record, I had a really sour taste in my mouth, and I think everyone knows why, because of the leadoff single, Yummy. Wow, what a terrible song. I don't even need to beat in how bad it is. It's literally just about 3.5 minutes of Bieber telling us he's a bottom. Which is fine, nothing against being a bottom, but the less I have to hear Bieber talk about his eyes rolling back or his toes curling, the better. It comes complete with a very standard generic beat and one of the most annoying, insufferable choruses that I've heard in a popular song in a while. The promo for the track was also terrible. A lot of people know how Bieber was trying to game the charts to get the song to #1 in ways that were preposterous and in some ways I think illegal. He was telling his fans that did not live in the US to get a VPN so that their streams of the songs counted towards the US chart or something like that. The fuck? I didn't even know that was possible. And then, making the album worse, the track is on here twice because Bieber included the original version as well as the Summer Walker remix, which even though she sounds good, it's not nearly enough to make the song any less insufferable. So, Yummy left a bad taste in my mouth. Actually, scratch that, it literally removed all of my taste buds. And while the follow-up tracks Get Me and Intentions were, if nothing else, better, I still wasn't exactly excited to listen to this thing. It's 17 tracks and 51 minutes, so it is rather long for a pop album, and given the lackluster singles, although Intentions was pretty good, I wasn't sure if I would be too fond of this thing. So how did my listening experience go with the record? Well, here's the thing. If you were expecting a full-blown defense of this album and for me to rave about it more than probably anyone will, sorry, but you're not gonna get that here. On the flip side, if you were expecting me to completely go in and shit on this thing like everyone else will, I don't think I could do that either. Rather, I have to say, this left me really conflicted. You could probably tell by the fact that I put it in the title, but I felt really conflicted listening to this thing. All throughout the album, Bieber leans a good bit into the R&B vibes with some trap-flavored beats as well, and I think he has a few moments on here where he showcases some very lovely vocals, like on the opening track, All About Me. It's this really light song that, despite being really short, is honestly pretty beautiful. Intentions is another song that sees Justin sounding really good, even if that You're My Rock Colorado lyric is still terrible. Take It Out On Me slows things down a bit compared to the other songs, but it's all the better for it. It's got this smooth and lovely vibe that actually serves as a great chance for Bieber to show off his very beautiful vocal runs. Usually I think he could be gimmicky with those, but here they actually work. I was also pleasantly surprised by tracks like ETA and the title track Changes. Both slower, more stripped down acoustic tracks that see Justin coming through with some very beautiful vocals. Changes in particular feels pretty introspective, and it's an easy standout on the record that reminds me of how much potential Bieber has when he really focuses in and puts his all into a song. Same goes for the track Confirmation, a piano-driven song with some light percussive snaps that carry a really beautiful emotional vibe that I quite enjoyed. I also wasn't sure I'd like the closer, at least for now, because I worried the instrumental would feel too been there, done that, but I think Bieber's vocals sound amazing, and I think he actually fits perfectly over the instrumental to make it feel more compelling than it probably should. Might I might also add that for a pop album, this is pretty star-studded. I mentioned that Yummy had the Summer Walker remix, which again, she sounds good, but her appearance doesn't save the song. But other than that, there are some big features on this thing. Quavo pops up on the aforementioned Intentions, which while his verse isn't as good as Bieber's, I think it's definitely far better than it could have been, and it does help the song a bit. Post Malone and Clever show up on Forever, and they honestly just run away with the song, saving it, I think, from being one of the weaker tracks on the album, because I think they fit better up against the colorful trap-esque beat than Justin does. Also, Lil Dicky is here for some reason on Running Over, a track that not only feels like it almost recycles the beat of the last track, but Lil Dicky pretty much kills the track. Bieber's vocals sounded good, but then Lil Dicky comes in and delivers complete cheese. It's really one of the worst moments on the album, and the less I have to talk about it, the better. Travis Scott pops up on Second Emotion, where he's firmly in his wheelhouse on a darker, hazier track where he delivers an auto-tune heavy verse that actually sounds pretty solid. Bieber also surprisingly pretty good here too. And Kehlani is definitely the highlight of Get Me, and her vocals are absolutely beautiful, making up for what's a pretty lackluster chorus from Justin. I think the ha 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 part is just something I'm not really crazy about on it. For me, what hurts the record at quite a few points is how flat and flavorless some of the production is. Habitual is a track that honestly is so boring. It tries to combine the trap-esque feel with the R&B vibe, but the instrumental is so lackluster it does no service to Justin's vocals. Come Around Me and Available are two tracks that both have some decent moments of Justin slipping between his vocal registers, but again, the trap-esque instrumentals are so basic, I wouldn't be surprised if he just found them while perusing through YouTube looking for royalty-free beats. Many of the beats on a lot of the bangers, if you will, just kind of blend together and feel like total throwaways that only exist so Justin could take a shot at some radio-friendly styles. I also wasn't totally crazy about That's What Love Is compared to some of the other stripped-down tracks. I find that Bieber really lifts the song with his vocals, and the acoustic guitars on it just aren't all that interesting. What I've gotta say my biggest problem with the album is, though, is the lack of consistency. The first half is really rough. It threatens to put you asleep, and it's honestly downright awful. As I mentioned earlier, the first part of the album sees Bieber really trying a lot to chase radio-friendly styles and recent trends. Many of them just don't land. It's when Bieber moves into the lighter, more introspective and emotional tracks on the back half that I really start to feel the album hitting its stride. It's a shame that Justin doesn't really balance out the emotional tracks with the more energetic ones, and it feels like the lighter tracks end up being highlights more so than the more energetic ones. As much as I'm sure people want me to shit on this thing just for the sake of shitting on it, I can't, because I see some potential in what Bieber's doing here. It's a shame that he bogs down a good deal of that by trying too hard to chase trends and poppy radio-friendly sounds instead of just stripping down and letting his emotions do the talking. Overall, I'm conflicted by this album. I see some great things going on here, but just as well, I see some really ugly things. Justin hits some beautiful highs, but some hideous, ugly lows that I would like to blank out of my memory as soon as I can. I think he remains a great vocalist that can really do a lot with a song when he zeroes in on it and focuses, but for much of my time with this album, I just found him unable to balance out his two styles. The trap and R&B bangers just sound like him going for some radio hits, trying to get some safe songs out there that people could just stream a bunch of times, but the back end actually sees him creating some nice and emotional tracks that really work. All in all, though, the fact that the latter half of the album is so much better than the former just makes this such an inconsistent listen. I really think Justin has it in him to make a great album, and as much as it might be easy to rag on him right now, he still has the potential to make something pretty beautiful. But until he trims down the fat, removes some of the throwaway songs, and stops trying to chase the current sounds, he's not gonna get to that point. As it is, I found a few enjoyable tracks that I'm sure I'll get some longevity out of, but like I said, there are plenty on here that I just want to blank from my memory immediately. My favorite tracks on here will be All Around Me, Intentions, Take It Out on Me, Second Emotion, ETA, Changes, Confirmation, and At Least For Now. And my least favorite tracks would be Habitual, Come Around Me, Yummy, Available, Running Over, That's What Love Is, and the Yummy Summer Walker remix. Overall, on my rating scale, I'm gonna say that Justin Bieber's Changes is gonna get an okay rating from me. I didn't hate this, as I'm sure most of the internet is prepared to hate it, but I didn't love it nearly as much as his fans are going to love it. And while there are, again, plenty of highs, there are also equally as many lows. All in all, definitely a disappointment given the 5-year wait. But that's just my opinion on this album. What did you guys think about it? Are you in the camp that absolutely hates it and everything about it? Are you in the camp that loves every single thing about it? Are you down the middle like I am? And if you were disappointed like I was, what do you think Bieber needs to do to make a great album? Whatever you think, let me know down in the comment section. Let's keep this this civil and have some fun as best as we can. If you guys want to hit like and subscribe, thank you. If not, it's no big deal. I'm not gonna beg you guys for it. As for what's next, BTS is dropping their new album next week, supposedly, Map of the Soul 7. So I think I might give that a look and do a review of it for you guys, especially because it doesn't look like there's much else coming out next week that I'm totally looking forward to, so stay tuned for that. I'll definitely give it a shot. Until then though, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.